Solve a literal equation. Now, when you hear this and the word is literal, what does that mean? Well, basically, we're talking about a bunch of variables. So if we have a bunch of variables, how do we solve that? So let's look at what we got here. We're going to do a couple so we can look at different things. So we're going to solve the following equation for h, which is height. This is the volume of a rectangular prism. V equals L times W times H. Now, if you know the rules for solving a basic equation, one with numbers, then a literal equation, which have plenty of variables, isn't difficult. So we know that the equal sign, whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other. H is what we want to get by itself, right? So this big H is what we want to get by itself. How is H joined with the rest? Well, we'll notice that L times W times H. Everything here is multiplication. Well, what is the opposite of multiplication? Division. So this is no different than saying 6 equals 3x. Same idea. Since we are multiplying the things together, the opposite of multiplication is division. If it's all being multiplied, then the opposite is all division. So let's divide by L times W. When we do that, L over L is 1, W over W is 1, and I end up with H equals volume over length times width. And that is solving for that particular equation. What if we have slope-intercept form? So y equals mx plus b. Okay, let's get our equal sign. We've got our dashed line showing right and left side. We want to solve this equation for m. Think back to solving basic equations. Whatever I want to solve for, that part is the last thing I want to play with. I say this differently than in the first one because now I have two terms here. I have mx is one term. I have b as my second term. So first thing I want to do is get rid of b. How do I get rid of a plus b? Well, the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract b from both sides. Because b minus b, well, that's the same as saying like 4 minus 4. Goes away. So on the right side, I still have m times x. And on the left side, I now have y minus b. I don't know what y minus b is, so I just write it just like that, y minus b. Okay, still we're trying to find the value or, trying to get m by itself. So now I have m times x. So I have multiplication. What is the opposite of multiplication? That is division. So I want to divide by the piece I want to get rid of. Well, I want m to be by itself, so I want to get rid of x. So I'm going to divide both sides by x. That makes my x's cancel out because x over x is 1. And I have m equals y minus b all over x. That's it. Let's do one more. This one is a little bit intense. So this is the area of a trapezoid. Area equals base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. No problem. We want to solve this bad boy for B1, the first base. There are a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to do this very much step by step. So the first thing that I see, right, remember, whatever you want to get by itself, the closest piece to that is the last thing you do. So B2 is going to be the last thing I move away. And then I think through, well, what's the next closest to that? And that's this 2. So that's going to be second last, which means the only other piece over here is H. So H is going to be the first thing I get rid of. So if I have this equation and I'm multiplying by H, what is the opposite of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide this entire thing by H, both sides, because H divided by H is just 1. So I am left with B1 plus B2 all over 2 equals area divided by H. That's step 1. Okay, so now we go back to the right side. Again, B2, this piece on the top in the numerator is the last thing. So I need to get rid of the 2 in the denominator. Well, right now we're dividing by 2. So what's the opposite of dividing by 2? Multiplying by 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 because 2 over 2, those will cancel out. And on the right side, or the left side, excuse me, I'm multiplying straight across. So I'm going to have 2a over h. Let's move to a new page. So I have 2a over h equals b1 plus b2. That's all that's left. So now I can say, okay, if I want to get b1 by itself, I got to get rid of b2. And if I'm adding b2, what's the opposite? I'm going to subtract b2. So minus b sub 2. B sub 2 minus B sub 2 is 0. So I'm left with B sub 1 equals 2A over H minus B sub 2. So it's a matter of going step by step, recognizing what the operation is that's joining so that you can then do the opposite. Good luck with literal equations.